I was once a poor farm boy from the hills of Virginia. No connections, no fortune, no special talents that anyone could see. Yet I dined with presidents, counseled the titans of industry, uncovered secrets that transformed millions of lives across generations. How? It began with a single force so powerful that it can turn coal into diamonds, failure into fortune, and ordinary men into legends. Desire, not mere wishing, not casual wanting, but that burning, obsessive, all-consuming hunger that knows no satisfaction except achievement. Today, I will share with you the most fundamental principle of all success: how to transform ordinary wishes into that white-hot desire that bends reality to your will. This is not philosophy. This is alchemy, the science of transformation, the method by which thoughts transmute into their physical equivalent with mathematical certainty. I have spent 20 years studying the most successful men in America. I have dissected their habits, their thinking, and their decisions, and I discovered that while their circumstances varied widely, they all possessed this singular quality: the ability to transform vague wishes into definite burning desire. Let me be clear. There is a chasm between wishing and desiring that most will never cross. Wishing belongs to dreamers. Desiring belongs to achievers. Wishing is passive. Desiring is active. Wishing hopes. Desiring demands. The world is filled with people who wish for better lives, better health, better finances. Yet they remain exactly where they are, year after year, wondering why fortune never smiles upon them. Meanwhile, a select few transform their lives completely, often starting from circumstances far worse than those around them. What separates them? The intensity of their desire and their understanding of how to cultivate it. I remember speaking with Henry Ford years after he had revolutionized industry. I asked him what quality he believed most responsible for his remarkable achievements. Without hesitation, he replied, "The capacity to want something badly enough that all other considerations become secondary." This is the essence of desire's alchemy, the transformation of mild interest into obsessive focus. And today I will show you precisely how to perform this transformation in your own life. The anatomy of true desire. Before I reveal the method, you must first understand what genuine desire actually is, for most people have never experienced it. True desire has 6 distinct qualities that separate it from mere wishing. First, it is specific. Vague wishes produce vague results. Desire fixes itself upon a single, well-defined objective. It does not say, "I want more money." It says, "I will have $50,000 by December 31st by providing this specific value to these specific people." Second, it is emotional, not intellectual. It burns in your chest, not just your mind. It wakes you at night. It occupies your first thoughts in the morning. It is felt, not merely thought. Third, it is persistent. It does not fade when obstacles appear. It does not diminish with time. It grows stronger with each passing day, each setback, each moment of doubt. Fourth, it is action-oriented. True desire compels movement. It cannot sit still. It must express itself through constant, persistent action toward its fulfillment. Fifth, it is exclusive. It eliminates competing priorities. When true desire takes hold, other concerns fall away. Distractions lose their power. Focus becomes natural, not forced. Sixth, it is transformative. It changes not just your circumstances, but your identity. You become a different person in your habits, your thoughts, your associations, your very nature. I have never, not once in my decades of research, found a person who possessed these 6 qualities of desire, who did not eventually achieve their objective. Not one. The question then is not whether desire works. The question is how to cultivate it. How to transform the mild wishes that most people harbor into the burning obsession that achieves the impossible. The 6-step method for cultivating burning desire. Through my research, I have developed a specific method for transforming ordinary wishes into a burning desire. This is not theory. This is a proven process used by some of the most successful individuals in history. Follow these 6 steps exactly as I described them, and you will kindle a fire within you that no circumstance can extinguish. Step 1. Define your desire with absolute precision. The first step is to define exactly what you want with such precision that it becomes a clear target in your mind. Vague desires produce vague results. More money is not a target. Better health is not a target. These are foggy wishes that the subconscious mind cannot grasp. You must define your desire with mathematical precision. If it's money, state the exact amount. If it's a position, name it specifically. If it's a quality of life, describe it in vivid, measurable detail. I once counseled a young businessman who told me he wanted success. When I pressed him to define this, he struggled. His desire was a cloud, not a target. We spent 3 hours defining exactly what success meant to him. A manufacturing company with 3 locations, 122 employees, an annual revenue of $1.3 million, producing a specific type of machinery. Within 6 months of this clarification, he had acquired his first facility. Within 3 years, he had exceeded his original target. The precision of his desire gave it power that vague wishing never could. Your desire must be so clearly defined that you could explain it to a child, and they would understand exactly what you're pursuing. Anything less is merely hoping, not desiring. Step 2. Determine the exact price of your desire and resolve to pay it. Every desire has a price. Nothing of value comes without exchange. The second step is to determine precisely what you must give to obtain what you desire, and then resolve to pay that price in full, without haggling. This price is rarely just money. More often, it's time, effort, learning, persistence, through failure, social disapproval, temporary discomfort, and the abandonment of lesser pursuits. Most people fail here. They want the rewards of success without the costs. They want the mansion without the work, the physique without the discipline, the respect without the risk. But desire's alchemy requires complete commitment to paying the full price. You must identify every sacrifice required and embrace it fully. Thomas Edison desired to create the electric light bulb so intensely that he performed over 10,000 experiments before succeeding. When asked about these failures, he famously replied that he had not failed, but had successfully discovered 10,000 methods that wouldn't work. That is the mindset of true desire, seeing the price not as a burden, but as a necessary and even welcome part of the achievement. Ask yourself, what must I give up to attain my desire? What habits must I change? What comforts must I sacrifice? What risks must I take? Then resolve, with absolute conviction, to pay this price in full. Step 3. Establish a definite date for achievement. Desire without a deadline is merely dreaming. The third step is to establish a specific date by which you will possess what you desire. This date creates urgency and prevents the procrastination that kills most dreams. It forces your subconscious mind to work with a sense of timing and purpose. The date must be realistic yet ambitious. Too distant, and urgency fades. Too close, and discouragement follows when it isn't met. I advised a manufacturer who had desired for years to expand his operation but had never set a date. When pressed, he admitted this was because setting a date would force him to act, to risk, to commit. The absence of a deadline allowed him to keep his dream safely in the future. Once he established a firm date, 18 months from our conversation, everything changed. Decisions became clearer. Actions became more focused. Opportunities suddenly appeared that had been invisible before. Your subconscious mind responds to deadlines. It organizes your perceptions, your creativity, and your energy around time frames. Without a deadline, desire remains theoretical. With one, it becomes a mission. Step 4. Create a definite plan and begin immediately. Desire without action is delusion. The fourth step is to create a specific plan for achieving your desire and to begin executing that plan immediately. Today, not tomorrow. Your plan need not be perfect or complete. It will evolve as you progress, but it must be specific enough to direct your actions and immediate enough to maintain momentum. The key is to begin at once. The moment between setting a desire and taking the first action toward it is where most dreams die. That gap must be closed immediately. When Andrew Carnegie decided to build the most extensive and integrated steel operation in the world, he didn't wait for perfect conditions or complete knowledge. He began with what he knew and where he was. adjusting his plans as he progressed. I have observed that successful people share this quality. They act quickly on their desires, while unsuccessful people delay until conditions are perfect, which they never are. Your plan should include the specific actions you will take daily, weekly, and monthly. It should identify the knowledge you need to acquire, the people you need to meet, the skills you need to develop, and the resources you need to gather. Then, and this is crucial, you must take the first step immediately, no matter how small. Order the book, make the call, write the first page, apply. The specific action matters less than the breaking of inertia. Step 5. Write a clear, concise statement of your desire. The fifth step is to crystallize your desire into a written statement that you will read aloud twice daily, once upon waking, and once before sleep. This statement should include the specific thing or condition you desire, the deadline for its achievement, what you intend to give in return, the specific plan through which you intend to accumulate it. For example, by December 31st, 2026, I will have in my possession $100,000, which will come to me in various amounts. In return, I will provide exceptional value as a sales executive, exceeding my targets by at least 20% each quarter. I plan to master my product knowledge, improve my communication skills, expand my network by 10 new contacts weekly, and solve my clients' problems so effectively that they cannot help but refer others to me. This statement serves multiple purposes. It programs your subconscious mind through repetition. It maintains your focus amid distractions. It reinforces your commitment when challenges arise, and it creates a standard against which to measure your daily actions. The act of reading this statement aloud is not mystical. It is psychological. It impresses the desire upon your subconscious mind with the emotional intensity necessary for achievement. I have seen this practice transform mild interest into a burning obsession within weeks. There is something powerful about declaring your intentions aloud that solidifies them in both your conscious and subconscious mind. Step 6. Create a burning obsession through sensory imagination. The final and perhaps most powerful step is to transform your intellectual desire into emotional obsession through the deliberate use of your imagination. Your subconscious mind, which will ultimately drive your achievement, does not respond to cold facts or logical arguments. It responds to emotionally charged images, repeatedly impressed upon it. You must therefore create a vivid mental movie of your desire already achieved. See it, hear it, feel it, taste it, smell it, experience it with such sensory richness that your subconscious mind cannot distinguish between the visualization and reality. This is not mere positive thinking. This is psychological programming with specific rules. First, the visualization must be from the first-person perspective, seeing through your own eyes, not watching yourself from a distance. Second, it must include all sensory elements, not just visual images, but sounds, physical sensations, even smells and tastes when relevant. Third, it must generate genuine emotion, the feelings of pride, satisfaction, gratitude, and achievement that would accompany the actual realization of your desire. Fourth, it must be practiced daily, preferably multiple times, for at least 5 to 10 minutes per session. I taught this method to a salesman who had desired for years to become the top performer in his company. Despite hard work, he had never ranked above 4th place. After implementing this visualization practice for just 30 days, focusing on the specific emotions and sensations of being recognized as the top salesman, his performance began to change dramatically. Within 6 months, he had achieved his desire, though he made no changes to his technical approach or working hours. When I asked what had changed, he said, "Before I hoped to be the best. Now in my mind, I already am the best, just waiting for reality to catch up." That is the essence of desire's alchemy, creating such a vivid and emotionally charged internal experience of your achievement that your subconscious mind accepts it as an existing fact and works tirelessly to align your external reality with this internal truth. The 4 enemies of desire. Now that you understand the method for cultivating burning desire, you must also recognize and guard against the 4 enemies that will attempt to extinguish your fire. The first enemy is negative environmental influence, the doubts, fears, and limited thinking of those around you. Most people live lives of quiet resignation, and they will project their limitations onto your ambitions. You must guard your desire jealously, sharing it only with those who will nurture it rather than diminish it. Create a protective barrier around your burning desire, especially in its early vulnerable stages. The second enemy is inconsistency of practice. The method I've outlined works with mathematical certainty, but only when applied with religious consistency. Missing days of your visualization practice, neglecting to read your desire statement, or allowing gaps between setting intentions and taking action. These inconsistencies weaken desire's power. Desire requires daily renewal. It is not a one-time decision, but an ongoing commitment that must be reinforced through consistent practice. The third enemy is premature satisfaction, becoming content with partial results before achieving your ultimate desire. Many begin with grand ambitions, but settle for modest improvements, never realizing how close they were to breakthrough achievement. True desire is never satisfied with partial success. It demands complete fulfillment of the original vision, not compromise. The fourth and perhaps most dangerous enemy is fear disguised as practicality. As your desire grows, so too will the voice of reason that catalogs all the potential failures, embarrassments, and disappointments that might result from your ambition. This voice does not sound like fear. It sounds like wisdom. It counsels moderation, caution, and realistic expectations. But it is fear nonetheless, merely dressed in the respectable clothes of prudence. Remember, extraordinary achievement has never resulted from practical thinking. It comes from desire so intense that it overwhelms all considerations of risk or reason. The transmutation of desire. There is one more element of desire's alchemy that few understand, but that separates the merely successful from the truly extraordinary. This is the principle of transmutation. Desire is energy, specifically, emotional energy, directed toward a purpose. Like all energy, it can be converted from one form to another without loss. The most powerful form of desire is sexual desire, the procreative urge that ensures the continuation of the species. This energy, when transmuted from its physical expression to creative or professional expression, becomes an unstoppable force for achievement. The greatest artists, inventors, builders, and leaders throughout history have consciously or unconsciously practiced this transmutation. They channeled their sexual energy, not by suppression, which creates only frustration and neurosis, but by redirection toward their definite chief aim. This requires tremendous self-discipline and clarity of purpose. But those who master this transmutation find themselves possessed of creativity, charisma, and driving force far beyond ordinary levels. I observed this quality in Thomas Edison, who often worked for days with minimal sleep, yet maintained extraordinary creative energy. When I asked about the source of his stamina, he described his practice of channeling his natural drives into his inventive work, rather than dispersing them through other outlets. This transmutation is not about denying human nature, but about directing its most powerful energies toward your highest purposes. It multiplies the effectiveness of the six-step method I've outlined and accelerates the achievement of your desire beyond what seems normally possible. The paradox of desire, detachment within attachment. Here I must share with you one of the most subtle yet powerful principles of desire's mastery, what I call the paradox of detachment within attachment. This paradox confuses many, yet those who grasp it gain an extraordinary advantage in the achievement of their desires. The paradox is this: you must be utterly attached to your desire, committed to its achievement with every fiber of your being, yet simultaneously detached from the specific form or timeline of its manifestation. Let me explain this apparent contradiction. Complete attachment to your desire means unwavering commitment to its achievement. You do not question whether it will happen, only how and when. You maintain your practices, your focus, and your actions regardless of immediate results or external feedback. Yet detachment means releasing the anxiety, frustration, and desperate grasping that actually impede achievement. It means trusting the process while remaining flexible about the specific path. I observed this quality in the great industrialist Andrew Carnegie. His desire to build the most efficient steel operation in the world was absolute and unwavering. Yet when specific approaches failed or unexpected obstacles arose, he displayed remarkable detachment from his original plans, quickly adapting without emotional resistance. "My desire is fixed," he told me, "but my methods are flexible. I am wedded to the destination, not the path." This paradoxical state, intense desire, without desperate attachment, creates a powerful psychological condition. It eliminates the tension and anxiety that cloud judgment and block intuitive insights. It allows you to recognize unexpected opportunities that might actually represent better paths to your desire than your original plan. Most importantly, it prevents the emotional exhaustion that causes many to abandon their desires when immediate results don't materialize. To practice this paradox, remind yourself daily, "My desire is certain, but the exact form of its fulfillment may surprise me. I remain alert to all possibilities, while maintaining absolute faith in the outcome." This subtle shift in mindset, from rigid expectation to confident openness, often makes the difference between frustration and fulfillment in the pursuit of your desires. The compounding effect of desire. Another principle that few understand is what I call the compounding effect of desire. Like compound interest in finance, desire does not grow linearly, but exponentially, when properly cultivated. In the beginning stages of applying the 6-step method, you may notice only modest changes in your emotional state and minimal external results. This is the period where most people abandon the process, concluding that it doesn't work. But those who persist discover something remarkable. Desire compounds. Each day of practice builds upon the each visualization strengthens the neural pathways created by previous visualizations. Each small action creates momentum for larger actions. After a certain threshold, usually between 30 and 90 days, consistent practice, this compounding effect creates a noticeable acceleration. What required tremendous effort in the beginning now feels natural. What seemed impossible now appears inevitable. I witnessed this phenomenon with a publisher who desired to create a national magazine, despite having no experience in the field. For the first 2 months of applying these principles, he reported feeling foolish and seeing no tangible progress. But he persisted. In the 3rd month, ideas began flowing more readily. Connections appeared unexpectedly. Opportunities emerged that hadn't been visible before. By the 6th month, his desire had developed such momentum that he described it as a force with a life of its own. The magazine launched within a year and became one of the most successful publications of its kind. The lesson is clear: desire's power compounds. With consistent application, the early stages require the most faith and discipline. But if you persist through this initial period, you will reach a tipping point where your desire begins to generate its own momentum. Desire's relationship to the mastermind principle. Discussion of desire would be complete without addressing its relationship to another fundamental principle of success: the mastermind. The mastermind principle states that when 2 or more minds come together in a spirit of perfect harmony for the pursuit of a definite purpose, they create a third, invisible force that is greater than the sum of the individual parts. What many fail to understand is how this principle amplifies desire. When your burning desire is shared and supported by others with complementary skills and resources, its power multiplies exponentially. I observed this dynamic most clearly with Henry Ford. His desire to create affordable automobiles for the average person was powerful on its own. But when he formed a mastermind alliance with skilled engineers, financial backers, and marketing experts who shared his vision, that desire became an unstoppable force that transformed an entire industry, and indeed, the world itself. The key is to select mastermind partners whose desires harmonize with yours, not necessarily identical desires, but compatible ones that create synergy rather than conflict. When forming such alliances, be transparent about your desire. Share your written statement. Explain your visualization practice. Invite their input on your plan. The more clearly they understand what you're pursuing and why, the more effectively they can align their energies with yours. But choose carefully. One person with negative energy or conflicting desires can disrupt the entire mastermind and weaken rather than strengthen your desire. It is better to have a smaller alliance of perfectly aligned minds than a larger group with mixed intentions. When properly formed, a mastermind alliance becomes a powerful amplifier of desire, providing not just practical support, but also psychological reinforcement during periods of doubt or difficulty. Desire's ultimate purpose. Before I conclude, I must address the most important aspect of desire, its ultimate purpose in your life. Desire is not merely a means to acquire possessions, positions, or prestige. These are worthy, but they are secondary to desire's true purpose, the development of your character and capabilities. The greatest benefit of burning desire is not what you get, but what you become in its pursuit. The qualities developed, persistence, courage, creativity, resilience, transform you into someone capable of achievements I have seen this repeatedly in my research. A man begins with the desire for wealth and ends by discovering his capacity for service. A woman pursues professional recognition and discovers her ability to mentor and elevate others. The initial desire is the catalyst for a much greater transformation than originally envisioned. This is why you must select your desires carefully. Choose aims that will require you to grow, to develop new qualities, to become more than you are. The greater the desire, the greater the transformation required to fulfill it. And remember, desire disconnected from service becomes mere greed. The most fulfilling and sustainable desires are those that align personal achievement with contribution to others. When your burning desire benefits not just yourself, but many others, it taps into a power beyond personal motivation. It aligns with the fundamental creative force of the universe itself. The living proof of desire's power. Let me share with you the story of a man whose life demonstrates everything I've taught you about desire's alchemy. He was born into poverty in rural Kentucky, with no advantages of education, wealth, or connections. By age 7, he was working to help support his family. By age 10, his mother had died. His formal education totaled less than 1 year. Yet this man had one asset more valuable than all the advantages others possessed: a burning desire to make something of himself. At age 20, he failed in business. At age 20, he was defeated in the legislature. At age 24, he failed in business again. At age 26, his sweetheart died. At age 27, he had a nervous breakdown. At age 29, he was defeated for speaker. At age 31, he was defeated for elector. At age 34, he was defeated for Congress. At age 37, he was elected to Congress, but then defeated for renomination. At age 4, he was defeated for Senate. At age 4, he was defeated for vice president. At age 47, he was defeated for Senate again. At age 51, he was elected President of the United States. That man was Abraham Lincoln. What sustained him through 16 major defeats and setbacks? Not talent alone, not education, not connections. It was a burning desire. The absolute, unshakable conviction that he had something to contribute and would not be denied the opportunity to give it. This is the power available to you when you transform ordinary wishes into burning desire. This is the alchemy that turns the wind of circumstance into the gold of achievement. The spiritual dimension of desire. There is another aspect of desire that I have observed in the most extraordinary achievers, what I call the spiritual dimension. This transcends mere psychological technique and enters the realm of universal principles. The most powerful desires are not merely personal ambitions, but expressions of your unique purpose in the world. They represent not just what you want to have or do, but who you are meant to become. When your desire aligns with this deeper purpose, it taps into a source of energy and inspiration beyond ordinary motivation. Obstacles that would defeat lesser desires are overcome with seemingly miraculous ease. Synchronicities and lucky breaks occur with surprising frequency. I witnessed this phenomenon most clearly in the life of Thomas Edison. His desire to create a practical electric light was not merely a personal ambition or commercial venture. It represented his conviction that he was meant to bring this innovation to humanity. This alignment of desire with purpose sustained him through thousands of experiments and countless setbacks. When your work is an expression of your purpose, he told me, failure becomes merely feedback, not defeat. How do you discover desires that align with your deeper purpose? Through introspection, through service to others, through noticing what activities bring you not just pleasure, but profound fulfillment and meaning. The desires that arise from this alignment possess a different quality than ordinary ambitions. They energize rather than deplete. They expand your sense of possibility rather than contracting it. They benefit others naturally, not as an afterthought. When you find such desires, apply the 6-step method with even greater confidence, knowing that you are working not just with psychological principles, but with the fundamental creative forces of the universe itself. Desire's role in life's seasons. One final insight about desire that comes from my decades of research. Its expression changes through the seasons of life, and wisdom lies in recognizing and honoring these changes. In youth, desire often focuses on achievement, acquisition, and recognition. This is natural and appropriate. The building phase of life requires this outward-directed energy. In middle age, desire frequently shifts towards significance, contribution, and legacy. The question changes from what can I achieve to what can I give. This too is appropriate as wisdom and capability mature. In later years, desire often turns toward integration, meaning, and transcendence. The focus becomes the completion of one's purpose and the passing of wisdom to future generations. Each season has its own expression of desire, and each is valuable. The mistake many make is clinging to the desires of a previous season when life is calling them to evolve. I have counseled many successful individuals who reached middle age, still pursuing the desires of youth, wondering why achievement no longer brought fulfillment. When they aligned their desires with their current season of life, their energy and satisfaction returned in full measure. Listen to the natural evolution of your desires through life's seasons. The 6-step method works for all worthy desires, but the nature of those desires will and should change as you grow and develop. Your moment of decision. We come now to the moment of decision. Having learned the method for transforming wishes into reality through burning desire, what will you do with this knowledge? Most who hear these principles nod in agreement, perhaps feel momentarily inspired, but take no action. They remain exactly as they were, wishing rather than desiring, hoping rather than demanding. A smaller group will implement these steps half-heartedly, applying them inconsistently, or abandoning them at the first obstacle. They may see modest improvements, but never experience the full power of desire's alchemy. But a select few, perhaps you among them, will recognize this moment for what it is, a fork in the road of life. They will take these principles not as interesting ideas, but as iron laws to be applied with religious devotion. They will follow the 6-step method exactly as prescribed, guard against the 4 enemies of desire, practice the transmutation of energy, and align their desires with service to others. These few will experience results that seem miraculous to those who don't understand the science behind them. They will achieve in months or years what others cannot accomplish in a lifetime, not because they were born with special gifts, but because they mastered the fundamental force that drives all achievement, burning desire. The choice is yours. You can close this chapter and continue as before, or you can begin now, today, to apply the most powerful success principle ever discovered. Remember, desire is not hope. It is not wishing. It is not wanting. It is a burning obsession that accepts no alternatives, tolerates no delays, and recognizes no obstacles as permanent. Properly understood and applied, it is the starting point of all achievement and the force that transforms ordinary people into extraordinary achievers. The question is not whether this principle works. The evidence of history and the testimony of countless successful men and women have established that beyond all doubt. The only question is, will you work it? Will you define your desire with absolute precision? Will you determine its price and resolve to pay it? Will you set a definite date for its achievement? Will you create and begin implementing a plan immediately? Will you write and read aloud your desire statement daily? Will you visualize your achievement with all the sensory richness and emotional intensity required to impress it upon your subconscious mind? If your answer is yes, then prepare yourself for a transformation beyond anything you've previously imagined. For you are about to engage the most powerful force for achievement ever discovered, the alchemy of burning desire that turns mere thoughts into their physical equivalent with mathematical certainty. The fire is yours to kindle. The method is yours to apply. The achievement is yours to claim. Begin now.